What's up, everybody? It's John Nabors, of course, coming to you live back in Fayetteville, where I have made the trek back and have made it here into Fayetteville. So I will fully admit I am exhausted. Apparently, this whole like driving 12 straight hours usually can wear on a man. But here we are back in better than ever and trying to do some live streaming. Since, honestly, when I was taking that vacation, I wasn't going to do really any live streaming. I brought my stuff just in case. And if you had a chance to check it out yesterday, you would have seen all that. But anyways, it was kind of impromptu. So I wanted to do it, of course, back when I got home and I had some time and everything. So it's just going to be like a shortened version and everything. But we're just going to kind of update you and get to some fun things that is going to be going on. So we'll get some of your chats, and we're going to talk a little basketball too. It'll be a shortened show, but I also want to remind everybody that tomorrow we're going to be at Tin Roof on Dixon Street once again, and it's going to be a different time slot because we're going to be doing it later into the night, which is going to be a lot of fun. So you got to go out there and you got to check it out for yourself. 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I got some former Razorback baseball players, like my buddy Dominic Ficcicello is going to be there, old Fick. I got Tim Carver coming in too, another friend of mine, former Razorback baseball player, and also going to have a special guest on the football side of things, former Razorback but current Fayetteville High School coach Casey Dick. He's going to join us too, so it'll be a great time. So come on out and see us, and we'll give you some more views on that. And also, we were going to do the bombastic post-game show live from Tin Roof after the Razorback baseball game that starts at 2 o'clock on Friday. So after their first game, one regional, we'll talk about the win. Andrew Ellis will be hosting it. I know I'll be there as well as some others, so pull up there at Tin Roof also after the Razorback baseball game. So a few things that I wanted to get into and kind of discuss was just really about John Calipari and what interesting things he had to say about Arkansas at the SEC meetings, which, it was funny. I should have just planned it out where when I went to the beach, it was kind of didn't know if I was going to go or not. But it was funny because I was in Destin. Like, I was there right next to SEC. I could have gone to SEC meetings and just been down there, but I didn't want to plan ahead. But anyways, John Calipari was down there. And, of course, just like every coach that goes down there and witnesses it and wants to talk about it, there's a lot of things to discuss. And this actually video is courtesy of Brandon Marcello. What we're going to do is I want to go through some of the comments that he had to say, kind of play the video, maybe not in its entirety, but skip it around a little bit because I think that there's plenty of things to discuss from that. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is John Calipari at SEC meetings, video courtesy of Brandon Marcello, and went into some NIL, went into some players, and again, we'll just hit some of the highlights. So here we go.
Young man and his family, can you help him get where he's trying to go? Do you make it about him? Do you have a history? Can they do their homework and know, have you prepared young people like him? Or is it solely NIL? Well, then you don't come with us. You walk in, why would you come here? This is the culture of achievement and seeing the best version of yourself and working harder than you've ever worked, having people say, I knew he was good, I didn't know he was that good. All that stuff plays a part in this and kind of separates what you're doing. But it was hard because I had no players. Now, I want you to understand what I said. There was no team. And we're at 8 right now. We're at 8. I'm ecstatic. I'm looking for one more guy, and that's what we're gonna have. Now, I want to tell you, like they talk about walk-ons, that's a different era. A walk-on for me will be on full scholarship, have the Pell if he's eligible, the student money, the camp money, like the old days of full scholarship. So he's fine, he's just not going to be, he's got to work his way into the NIL. And it still means I'm going to play the best people, but we have not really started on those other 2 or 3 positions.
Okay, so kind of to go through that, it was pretty fascinating for him to talk about and dealing with players and going into the NIL. Like, he's like, if you come in here and that's all you're looking for, you ain't going to be a part of it. And we're not going to have any problem with like telling you that. Like, he's John Calipari, for crying out loud. The players that come in and say like, oh, we're about NIL. Like, he's like, okay, then go somewhere else. So you could say it's coach speak, whatever. But then he also kind of goes into the roster spot and into the management. And I know Curtis and Scotty on the Pod at the Palace did a great job of breaking this down and discussing it. And we will talk about Coleman Hawkins too, because that's kind of the latest development. I know they'll talk about that. But I just wanted to go through and kind of listen and hear from Calipari and going and approaching it the way that he is and the roster spots and basically looking at it to where it's just going to be 9 players is all they're going to be looking at, is all they're going to be trying to get. So we'll continue on. And again, he goes into some other comments here too.
Yeah, it's been a breath of fresh air, you could say. It just 15 great years. I mean, we got a lot done. I think of last year's team and what we were able to do and playing so many young guys, but the lesson was you can't do this now with 7 freshmen. You just can't. You're going to hit a team that's 25 years old on average. One was 26. And that team's physically going to get you. And it's just so now we have a couple transfers that are older, some kids that transferred from Kentucky that went through it and are a year older, and some freshmen.
What do you think?
Okay, so that to me kind of sums it up right there of where his mindset is at, where he's like, listen, you can't do the way that it's been done before anymore. In this day and age, you can't have 7 true freshmen and expect to win a championship and expect to win a title. He gets it. Whether or not it's the way it's executed, he gets it. You can't approach it. And you want to have talent. You want to have the most talented roster. Everybody does. But seeing how championships are won nowadays and how you can navigate yourself through college basketball, you can't do it with 18-year-olds. You got to be able to have some guys. You got to have a mix, but you got to be able to have some guys who are experienced, who are like big time, who want to get after it, like all of that. You have to have those players. And so that, to me, when you talked about a breath of fresh air of being at Arkansas and everything, to me, it's a breath of fresh air too, knowing that he's like, I am understanding how it's done now. I'm not sticking to my old ways of like, no, well, this has worked for me before and I'm going to stick with it. He's like, no, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. And I respect that. And I appreciate him. But he continues on.
Mark Pope hire at Kentucky.
Thought it was a terrific hire. Mark and I've spent time.
Okay, I know, who cares? But we'll go ahead and go through this a little bit.
He's a good man. He and I talked. Former player, proud of the coach. Do now. There are no options. There's you either do them or, and they're doing them from what I understand.
Kel, you've obviously had a lot of rivals. When you're at the top, a lot of teams want to knock you off. Where's your rivalry with Bruce Pearl? You guys go way back.
With
now.
who?
With Coach Pearl, Bruce Pearl. You guys go way back. What would you say that rivalry?
What are we doing here? Like, your rivalry with Bruce Pearl? Get out of here. Who are asking these questions?
Again, older, had to do, and Rick Barnes had a great.
Is that one slot you're trying to add right now? What position are you looking at right now to add one?
The 9th depends on who it is. Yeah. That's what we'll look for.
Coleman Hawkins, maybe?
Is it a shooter? Is it a 4-man that can shoot? Is it strong, physical? Is it a defensive guy? We're just, right now, I can breathe because we got 8. And I'm hoping there'll be 9, but what if there's not? Somebody said, well, what if you have injuries? If the wrong guy gets injured on any team in this country, you're done.
That right there is the greatest point I think Cal has made in this whole speech and in this press conference that he's had. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter whatever. If your best player gets hurt, or if in this case, the wrong player gets hurt, you're done. Whether you have 13 big-time scholarship players or 9, it doesn't change anything. So people who have been asking about, oh, what if injuries? What if these happen? It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it's going to impact you in a major and negative way. So for those of you that have been asking about it, there's your answer. Shout out to Kyle Parkinson in the background. That's my boy.
I don't care if you have 8 guys, 9 guys, 15, 16 guys. The wrong guy gets injured. And so my thing is, if a couple guys get injured, I'll have 6 really happy players because they'll play all the minutes.
It's just like UMass.
So, he knows what he's wanting to do. Like, he's approaching it in the way of like, hey, I don't care what tradition is like or not, but this is the way he's approaching it. You could say, oh, it's a bad move. Oh, injuries or roster spots. I'm like, this is a man who has been around for a very long time in the college game. He has been in the NBA game. He has produced more pros than anybody. And to me, maybe it's just my rose-tinted colored glasses, whatever it may be. But to me, I look at this as saying, okay, Cal, you are approaching it differently. Therefore, I'm all in. I'm excited about it. Like when he's approaching it that way and saying, I want to do it this way. All right. I'm for it because it's different. If he was saying, well, I'm going to do the same thing I did at Kentucky last year in the past few years. I'm going to do the same thing. And this time it's going to work. I promise. It would kind of be, well, okay, sure, maybe, but I'm not going to feel great about it. But in this particular case, he's like, I got to change it up. I got to do things differently. I got to approach it differently. So why not? Let's go. He continues on, though.
In some ways,
I did. At UMass, we played 6.
that went pretty well for you, right?
It did turn out well, and for those players.
Yeah, when he's at UMass, he only played 6 players, went to a Final Four. Not too bad.
How do you rejuvenate given all of the changes that you have to also deal with in the landscape of college basketball?
I've always said, what's next and how can we be first? So you kind of read the tea leaves and how they're going to do things and how do you do things and try to look at some of this and can't believe half your money better go in a tax account. You do it, that's it. Now, and it's and I love it because it's not me having to make decisions.
You've been the heavy favorite for so long. Is there a party that relishes as much?
We're not the heavy favorite now.
I was going to say, is for now, as much as Arkansas.
Heavy favorite now. He's saying, hey, we're the heavy favorite now. He ain't losing that swagger.
And be an underdog in basketball. Is there a party that relishes this challenge in this role?
It's. I've been to different places, and they've all. You better watch, you may hit you. But I'm not. My guess is, whichever building we go into, it'll be similar. They'll be trying to, and my guess is our building, Bud Walton, will be packed. Right now, we're doing some of the games that I've scheduled will be, you get calls from ESPN, different events, CBS, can you do this and this? Until I get the rest of the roster, I probably won't fully do the schedule, but we're in good shape right now. So, I'm juiced about it. Like, let's go. Got a great staff. Guys are working at this. Able to hire my son, so I get to work with my son every day. I'm seeing him, loving on him. So
how weird is it? Okay, so he goes into it a little bit more specifically of like being juiced, being excited. He talks a little bit about the schedule there, and it'll happen, but to talk about Cal and if he's still interested and if he still is excited and if he's still ready to roll, ready to go. I mean, you could say like, well, he doesn't have the most energy. Well, again, if anybody, and it's mainly like Kentucky fans that have been saying this, but if anybody's looking at Cal and being like, he's not excited. He's washed up. He's just mailed it in. He's collecting a check. And okay, do you know how difficult it is to recruit and to go through the process of with the NIL and everything to get these players to come to Arkansas? You're not doing that because you're lazy and you're mailing it in. You're not doing that because you're just collecting a check. The dude's excited. The dude's motivated. He's focused and he's pumped. Okay? He's 65 years old. He's accomplished just about every single thing you can accomplish as a college basketball coach when it comes to individuals and teams. So cut him a little bit of slack on that, but you can tell it's going to get nasty here for a lot of people, and especially when you talk about the schedule as that continues on.
Sam Pittman.
What's that?
Have you got to talk to Sam very much?
Great guy.
I think that's awesome. Sam Pittman.
Love him. Love him. We had more fun at dinner last night. We laughed. Some stuff went on. So, but Sam's a good guy. Got a really tough schedule. I said, they didn't do you any favors. The schedule he has is ridiculous.
Which teams are you talking?
I love that. Like, I just, that should be a fun segment. What do you think Calipari and Sam Pittman talked about? Because he was just like, yeah, you know, it got a little crazy. Like, what actually did Sam Pittman and John Calipari talk about? To be a fly on the wall. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that Calipari did 87% of the talking, probably 87%. And he's just talking about, you know, football and talking about, you know, when he's with Mark Stoops and when he, you know, saw this guy and everything. And then Sam's sitting back. Yeah. No, I'll tell you, John, I've gone through a lot. And, you know, we got a good team this year. You know, we got a good team. I love the kids. You know, I love the kids. Like, it was probably something like that. It was probably Calipari doing most of the talking. And that's fine. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just how he is. But that's kind of cool, though, that him and Sam Pittman got to hang out a little bit and talk a little bit more.
Can do right now about potentially playing for non-conference?
Most of the stuff is done of who we're playing, and then there may be one team that I try to do a home and home with, but we're going to play in Little Rock, want to play in Dallas, you know, want to have the kind of game. You need national games. You got to play in Madison Square Garden. There's things. Look, we want to recruit Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, St. Louis. We do. But you know we're going to recruit nationally. And the only thing is we're not going to take 6, 7 freshmen. Now it'll be 3 or 4. Hopefully retain a few, get a couple transfers, and that is the formula. You ready? Today. Today. Now, that may not work, and then you'll say, well, you said, well, I changed my mind. I didn't like how it looked.
How much better does it?
Okay, so that's the key piece to all of this that everybody has been discussing is about the schedule and what it's looking like. Now, if you've been following Natty State Sports and Curtis and Scotty, they alluded to this a lot too. But to me, playing, of course, in Bud Walton, playing in Little Rock, he's referring to Simmons Bank Arena. That's going to happen every time. Playing in Dallas, though, so that's new. We know Arkansas played in Tulsa when they went up against Oklahoma, and it was fine. Like, I don't know if anybody else went to the game. I went to the game. It wasn't very great experience, mainly because Arkansas usually lost and Muss usually got ejected. But I was not a fan of the BOK Centers being set up for basketball. It was not well ran. You know, it just wasn't for me. But having now Cal being able to play nationally relevant teams and squads, this is, I don't know who it's going to be, but assuming that it's at the American Airlines Center, I think it's what it still is, right? Where the Mavericks are playing, you know, and they'll be maybe coming off of a championship in the NBA. Hopefully not, since I'm kind of a Celtics fan. But Daniel Gafford getting a championship wouldn't be bad. Either way, doesn't matter. Having that game there, assuming it's where the Mavericks play in Dallas, they're not going to have some old crapperware team. They're going to be like, yeah, well, you know, let's bring in Rice. You know, it's going to be a nationally relevant marquee matchup. And from what I understand, they're not doing that San Diego deal anymore, which makes sense because that was a must thing. That's the only reason it was happening. And Cal's like, I ain't doing that. So if they're going to be playing in Dallas, would it be a setup like an invitational where there's multiple games? Would it just be a one-game deal? I'm not sure. But here's the thing. People are worried about losing home games and whatnot. And just stop. You're going to have plenty of great home games. Don't worry about it. But if you want to be able to get on national TV, and you want to be able to get to big-time teams to agree to big-time matchups and to play you, you're going to have to do them on neutral courts. Very seldom does anybody do home and homes. Like when Duke came to Fayetteville last year, that was only because of the ACC SEC challenge. Duke doesn't do that. They don't do home and homes. It's only because of the challenge isn't why they ended up doing that. So to me, if you're going to be playing in Dallas, it's going to be a nationally relevant team. But who that team will be, is yet to be determined. Some people have said Kansas, which would be maybe the one that makes the most sense. I don't know if that would be what Kansas wants to do. I don't know what their schedule looks like necessarily. But I hope it's not an SEC game, though. That's kind of like my only caveat. I do not want it to be an SEC game. You need as many SEC games. You need all 9 SEC games in Bud Walton that you can. All 9 of them. So don't play Texas there or anything else. Just stick to non-conference, which I think is what Cal's referring to. So, play a Kansas. Could you play, a UConn? I don't think that would happen, but somebody of that caliber there, maybe. I think playing even a team from Texas, like if it was a Baylor, it would make sense. So, yeah, there's a lot of teams that are into the mix that it could end up being. Somebody I was talking to, I was like laughing. I was like, what if it's USC? What if Calipari and Eric Musselman agreed to play each other in their first years at their other schools? Because they do like each other. They do respect each other. But how crazy is that he would play Muss? Again, I'm not expecting it. I'm not predicting it. But that could happen. Dalton says a great one, too. Like, what if it's Houston? Sign me up. I think that'd be awesome. Awesome to play Coach Kelvin Sampson and Houston in a big-time program. So, yeah, I'm excited about that one. Now, the Madison Square Garden deal. Let's talk about that. I know it's funny kind of seeing his face right there, but let's talk about the Madison Square Garden thing. And actually, let's go back and listen to it once again, because some people are saying, oh, he confirmed that it's at Madison Square Garden. Other people are saying, well, he was just using it as an example. So let's go back and let's try to listen to that.
But we're going to recruit nationally. And the only thing is, we're not going to take 6, 7 freshmen. Now it'll be 3 or 4.
So
one team that I try to do a home and home with. Ridiculous.
Which teams are you talking to right now about potentially playing for non-conference?
Most of the stuff is done of who we're playing, and then there may be one team that I try to do a home and home with. But we're going to play in Little Rock, want to play in Dallas, want to have the kind of game. You need national games. You got to play in Madison Square Garden.
So he says you got to play in Madison Square Garden. We need national games. You got to play in Madison Square Garden. Is that meaning that Arkansas is going to for sure play in Madison Square Garden? No, but it doesn't mean they're not going to. So if Arkansas has 2 games this year in the non-conference, and one of them is in Dallas, as we just talked about, but the other one is in Madison Square Garden in New York City, the Big Apple, one of it not the most historic, well-known venues you would ever have for basketball. And Arkansas is playing a game in both of those venues at both of those places against high-value, high-end non-conference opponents. Y'all, the Cal effect is in full effect. I mean, that's the type of stuff that I was all like, when Cal got hired, there was so much excitement surrounding it that I couldn't wait to see what they were going to do with it. But when he's talking about this stuff, this was the stuff I was actually really looking forward to, because it takes a lot to get big time programs to agree to play you. Like, think about it from the Arkansas perspective. When was the last time that Arkansas played a major program or a major game that was agreed upon by both teams? And what I mean by that is not a Maui Invitational, not an SEC ACC Challenge or an SEC Big 12 Challenge. None of those. None of the things that were just made for TV. I'm talking about when this school and this school came together and agreed and said yes. I mean, Oklahoma was one of those. Yeah, that didn't exactly move the needle. You played Texas, but it was an exhibition. You played Purdue, but it was exhibition. And I just don't see of any other way or any other time that really comes to mind that you've had to, maybe when Michigan. I think Michigan may have been the last one when Arkansas had a home and home. But the point is, it's been a while. Usually it's very tough to do these types of games. And you talk about having a college basketball game in Madison Square Garden in New York City that the Arkansas Razorbacks are going to be playing in. I'm going to go to the Dallas game. I think I'll be going to that game in New York City. I'll take in a show. You know, I'll go watch Saturday Night Live. I'll eat some great food. I'll do it all, man. I've actually never been to New York City. Wanted to go. I was talking to a girl that was up there. Never figured out COVID. But anyways, point is, that's marquee. So it's not official. At least that's how I'm taking it. It's not official that they're going to be playing in Madison Square Garden. But Cal is talking about the options, the type of place that you need to play in if you're Arkansas, if you want to be nationally relevant, if you want those national teams, that's what you got to do. So let's continue on.
There's things, look, we want to recruit Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, St. Louis. We do. But you know we're going to recruit nationally. And the only thing is we're not going to take 6, 7 freshmen. Now it'll be 3 or 4. Hopefully retain a few, get a couple transfers, and that is the formula. You ready? Today. Today. Now.
So he's talking about recruiting nationally. It's cliche to say that. Every coach will say that. Everybody wants to say that. And there are some programs that are able to do it. But like I looked at it, for instance, in football. Football, in a place like Arkansas especially, you can't and shouldn't recruit nationally. That's not to say you can't get great players from other places. But one of the things that I thought when, I think it was Brett Bielema did it, he hired, was it Kurt Anderson maybe? One of the coaches he hired, they're like, hey, he's going to focus on Minnesota and Wisconsin and Illinois. And I'm like, okay, there's been players that have come from there. That's fine. But, you know, those places are going to be harder to convince kids to come down to Arkansas. So maybe focus a little bit more on the region. But in basketball, it's completely different because players are playing all over the place now. The prep academies that they're going to across, you know, places in Missouri, places in Texas, places in Florida. You know, it is all over the place. And so I'm just saying that it is a great thing to say, but it's another thing to execute. But Cal's going to execute it, and he's going to execute it better than anybody. Like he said, he wants to recruit Arkansas and Texas and Oklahoma and Missouri and all that. He wants to recruit that, but they're going to be national. And what better way to get people to come see you national than if there's a big-time player in New York? I've heard, I could be wrong, I've heard there's a lot of really good, talented basketball players in the Northeast. Who would have guessed? But if you're up there, it'd be like, hey, kid, I know you're a number 1 player and you're a 5-star. We're going to be playing in a place called the Madison Square Garden. Have you ever heard of that? Just check it out. It's on Wikipedia. We're going to be playing there against a team that's ranked in the top 5. It's going to be a great atmosphere. You want to come by? You don't think that'll stick out? You don't think that'll impress them? It absolutely will. So it's all playing the long game for Cal, and nobody understands it better than him. All right, let's continue on.
That may not work, and then you'll say, well, you said, well, I changed my mind. I didn't like how it looked.
How much better does the conference get once you account for Texas?
What was that?
How much better or different does the conference get once you add Texas?
Well, Texas and Oklahoma both.
Yes.
You know, both in football and basketball. You know, what they add, it just made this league, it just keeps separating us. And we didn't have to change the footprint. When you start going east-west and time zones and all that, we've been able to do this and stay within the footprint of what we're doing. Just getting, my guess, you know, they won't change that. If anybody, I'm not saying anybody's being added, but they'll be either in the footprint or they wouldn't be added to this league.
Is there something to be said for a month? Like, how confident are you that you can win at the highest level at Arkansas?
Phil, if you watch my history as we coach, hopefully you would feel that he'll be fine.
I mean,
all right, so that's pretty much it for Cal and what he was discussing there at SEC meetings. Again, credit Brandon Marcello of 24/7 Sports for that video. But I was driving back from, I guess it's Destin. I don't know. There's so many dadgum beaches down there. There's Santa Rosa, Seacrest, wherever. I was driving back from it. I was, had plenty of time, but I listened to a lot of podcasts and, of course, listened to Pod at the Palace and listened to Bombastic and listen to that press conference and everything. And so it's just so fascinating how casual, and seeing how Cal just is like, well, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna try, but we gotta take care of business this way, or we gotta handle ourselves this way, whatever it is. He knows how to do it. He knows how to get it. And Arkansas is going to give him everything that he needs to accomplish it and to get it. So I think it's just great to hear him. Anytime we get to hear him talk, it's great. But it comes down to this. His thing about players, only having 8, 9 players, I'm fine with at 100%. It's great. Absolutely. Do it. Because if you can get 8 amazing players and then have filling up the roster the rest of the way with like walk-ons or something, compared to having 10 to 12 solid players, like if you're talking about the averages, give me the great players. And I think it's also more fair to the kids, because you don't want to have a kid that you're like, hey, come on over here and let's have you play on this team, even though he could have gone somewhere else to be a starter, but then you have to kind of lie to him a little bit, or maybe exaggerate a little bit just to get him on the roster, and he's not going to end up playing. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to say, hey, that is the way that we are going to do it. And you 8 players, those are the only ones that are going to really play. So we're not lying to you. We're not, being upset. Some of you are going to start. Some of you are not. But it's going to work out. So it's good to hear from Cal, though. It's good to hear from Cal. All right, let's get to some of your comments here on the stream. If you want in on the conversation against the John Nabors show after dark, I guess. I don't know how to put it. But again, we're going to be at Tin Roof tomorrow, but the show's going to be 6 to 8 tomorrow. So instead of 4 to 6, 6 to 8, which is going to be awesome too, because we've had a lot more people want to roll in and hang out with us, and makes it easier for them. So yeah, come on in to get ready for the regionals. Tin Roof tomorrow. Dalton says, any federal sea turtle agents follow y'all home. Yeah, that was fun doing that show with my friends. I was just excited about. Here's the thing: is like my friends are very entertaining people, and they're where we bounce off a lot of each other and for content. A lot of stuff, of course, we can't put on the stream, but it was fun to do a show with them, and especially since a few of them had a few things. But that was fun though. But no sea turtles. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, I had fun doing that. I know it was late at night and there wasn't as many people up, and we who cares? We were just messing around. But yeah, that was pretty fun. Jose says, John, come on now. It's my bedtime. I'm sorry. I know. Listen, this is not going to be a reoccurring thing at this late. I'm trying to do content because I wasn't planning on doing content, but I want to do content when I haven't been able to, because I was at the beach or whatever. I was taking off. I was going to say, no, I'm not going to do it, but it's like, I just can't. It's a blessing and a curse. It was like kind of partly of where I was, like being down there, and I loved it and I needed it. But man, my mind was on Natty State sports, and my mind was still on content. My mind was still on the directions we're going and everything. So I had to get back as soon as I could to make it happen. Derek says, everyone know that Coleman Hawkins withdrew from the draft. Yep, he did. And be sure to check out the Pod at the Palace, because they're going to break it all down for you a lot better than I can. And that's going to be happening tomorrow. Let's see. John Ham says, hey, John, I discovered Natty State Sports recently, and I'm a big fan of what you and your team are doing. Thanks for all the great content. Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate you. Great name, by the way. Spelled a little differently. But yeah, thank you. It's been kind of a slower time, because a lot of us were out for Memorial Day weekend, as a lot of you were, but we're going to hit the ground running, and I got some cool stuff that I'm going to be adding in some more content. That'll be really fun on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the Natty State Sports YouTube channel, be sure to do so, folks, because that's a great way to get people involved and to be able to interact, and really helps us out too. So yeah, be sure to subscribe to it. I'll get into some other comments here in a second. I did want to say this, folks. I'm teasing this. We're working on some of the finer details. I'm teasing this, but I think it's going to be next Tuesday. It's either next Tuesday or next Wednesday. That's what we're going to be working on. But it was devastating to see the damage from the tornadoes here in the state of Arkansas. I mean, it was horrible. And especially in the Northwest Arkansas area, see what happened to Rogers. I was out of town, but that just, it's scary because, I've grown up where I never saw tornadoes in Northwest Arkansas ever. Growing up in Fayetteville. And then last year, I was in Little Rock when the tornado hit. And I was actually in Jacksonville. I was doing a show at Quatney Chevrolet in Jacksonville. And I saw that tornado coming our way. It was in the middle of my radio show. We had to go take shelter. And just seeing the damage done there was devastating. It's the same thing in Rogers and just all across the state of Arkansas. And it's just heartbreaking. So I'm putting together, and I'm wanting to do this. And we'll have more details on it. But early next week, we're going to be raising money. We're going to be putting together a thing for Natty State Sports where we're going to be raising money for you to donate, that 100% of the proceeds and 100% of the donations are going to go to the tornado relief. Because we want to help each other out here in the Natty State. I mean, that's what we're all about. So I just wanted to get that kind of out there for you all. We'll have some details. Be on the lookout for that, and we'll have a bunch of people, former players on, people from Arkansas. We'll have some of our great partners and sponsors on with us that are going to continue to hype that up too. So we're really looking forward to that. And again, I know it's something that none of us want to do. We shouldn't have to do it. But there are people suffering in the state of Arkansas, and I know I want to do my part. I know all my guys, all of us here at Natty State Sports, we want to do our part to help. So we'll give you details on that, but that'll be happening early next week. So just wanted to throw that out. Colton saying, Nabors, where's Brazil going? I have no idea. I guess wherever's the highest bid. Nabors giving them the highest bid. That's what I'd be for. I did see people were talking about Coleman Hawkins. I did see Aaron Torres's tweet about Coleman Hawkins saying that apparently he's wanting that big time money. It's like, well, you got to get that chicken man money. That's the case. That's the chicken man money. Drew says Brazil's going into a non-Power 3 conference, probably Big East, to allow himself to gain back that perception of being that dude or just a freak athlete. I have no problems with Brazil. I wish him the best wherever he goes. Let's see. John says, we definitely need another power forward. Doesn't need to be top talent, but someone who can at least bring some decent defense and rebounding at that spot. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it'd be nice to have like just a force of nature underneath. I know it's easier said than done, but I'd love to have that. Braden says, $2 million for a player, John. He better be a lock for the SEC first or second team for that kind of money. Braden, I don't disagree. He's got to be a great player for that. However, it goes back to my whole thing. As long as it's not my money that's being spent, then I don't care how much it's being paid for. You know what I'm saying? Like if it ends up affecting me or affecting the school and they're doing dumb stuff, that's one thing. But if they paid $1.5 million for a player or $2 million for a player, am I going to be like, well, 1.5, we could have been okay with only 15 points a game, but at $2 million, you better be averaging 19. No, you either play or you don't. I don't care how much money you're making. I don't care about how you're playing. So whatever it's worth it, then go after it. Have fun with it. Let's see. Zach Davis said he will be called a genius a year from now. I love the mix of guys that he has. In addition, these are 18, 22-year-olds. They can handle big minutes. I totally agree. Got some Kentucky fans in there. Like Matthew Thomas. I like this comment. He's like, bro, please change the picture. It's still so awkward to see him in red. I need to warm up to it, man. I still have hate in my heart for this man. No, I'm sorry. I misread. So yeah, you're a Razorback fan. I know it is weird to see him in red. I'll get used to it. You'll get used to it too. All he's got to do is just keep on winning and it'll be fine. Lori is saying that UConn and Auburn at Madison Square Garden, if it happens, Jayhawks or Houston and Dallas. Sure, I'd take it. Auburn does not need to be in Madison Square Garden. Well, I guess if it means it doesn't, as long as it doesn't take away a game from Arkansas, that's fine. I'd rather play Auburn in Madison Square Garden than Auburn in that little arena that they call the Jungle or whatever that only sits like 8,000 people or whatever it is. Sam says, Bielema actually recruited NFL draft picks from Minnesota, Florida, Illinois, and California. No, I was not saying that that no player comes from that. Like in fact, I even said that there's been some players that he had that came from there. I'm just saying that doesn't need to be the focus all the time for players from there. And I didn't say anything about Florida. Like, you can still get players, but when I'm talking about in football and recruiting, you need to make sure that you got your border states locked down or at least handled before you start worrying about those other states, especially the ones that didn't exactly have the pipeline. Colton says, Big John, you were on 30A. I know it. Of course I was on 30A, man. It's a yearly trip with my friends, and it was good to hang out with them, and weather was really nice and got plenty of food, and as you can tell, plenty of sun. This time it's natural. Let's see. Colton also says, what are your thoughts on how far we go tomorrow on Cal's first year? How far we go tomorrow on Cal's first year? I mean, I don't know. You're talking about, like, as far as the NCAA tournament? Yeah, I still think that it's going to be heading towards, jeez. I don't know if you want to put a win total on it, but I'm still expecting a Sweet 16 at the minimum. And that's what I'm expecting. That's what it better be. And I'm also expecting a top 4 finish in the SEC. Generically speaking. Tin Roof Fayetteville. There it is. Big weekend with the Natty State squad coming out tomorrow and Friday at 6 o'clock. That's right. Come to Tin Roof Dixon, folks. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. Mitchell says, after dark is right, I'm usually ordering Domino's at this time of night. Okay. Domino's is good too. Let's see. Stroud says, what are your predictions this weekend for the baseball team? They win. Actually, I think that okay, here's my prediction, and I'm sure it will go completely right. Arkansas is going to sweep it. They're not going to lose this weekend. How's that? I think they take care of business in game 1 fairly easily. Game 2 might be their most difficult game, but you got Hagen Smith. You got to feel good about it. And then I think game 3, if it's Molina or whoever, still think it's strong. I think the other team is kind of on the ropes. They don't have the pitching depth that Arkansas has. It's going to come down to the offense, and I feel like it could be them. So, yeah, I feel like that should happen. I think they should take care of it. Either way, they'll win this. They better win the regional. That's all I'm saying. They better win the regional. All right, let's see. Walt Coax says, you going to have Noah on tomorrow? Yeah, we could probably make Noah happen. The security man over at Tin Roof. Yeah, he's really great. Lori says, thank you for making that comment about NIL money. Who cares? Yeah, that's how I am. I don't care. I do not care how much a player makes. I care about how they play. Again, if a player is making $1 million compared to $1.5 million, like, does that bother you? It's not your money. Your taxes aren't going up. All you care about is if they can play. And if they can play, that's all that matters. Hard Worker says, hit that like button. Yeah, that's right. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell at the top so you get notified anytime that we post any of our videos and our great content, and anytime that we go live. So, yeah. Colton's over here. We'll lose in the supers. Okay, Colton. Let's chill. Let's not start throwing those types of accusations out. Dalton says, Brock Lesnar making another cameo, or can y'all get Bryce Mitchell? Man, that was wild. For those of you who didn't see it on social or didn't have a chance to catch our show at Tin Roof last Thursday, Brock Lesnar was there in person. And that was a very scary moment in a good way. Because, I mean, he's larger than life. Literally, he is a massive dude. So that was really cool. So who knows? Maybe he'll pull up again. His daughter was doing track at the U of A, and that's why he was in town. And I'll say this too. He was really cool where he was like, I know people were going up to him trying to take pictures, trying to be, hey man, you want to, and he was very, very nice saying, hey, I appreciate it, but I'm just trying to be normal. Trying to be normal out here. That's fine. So I respect him for it. I didn't have any problem with it, but yeah, he's a large man. Very few of the people that's been out there was using UFC, MMA, right? He did actual like WWE wrestling. I want to say he's just done a lot of different things too, but big dude, got the ponytail in the back, making that happen. Still looking pretty good there too. Let's see. We just got a few minutes left. Like I said, this is going to be a shortened version of it, folks, because I'm exhausted. But I wanted to go live at least to promote a few things and get into that too. Got any friendly bets outstanding with one of any of the Kentucky boys? Okay, so like, what kind of bets are we talking about here? Are we talking about like with the media of the Kentucky boys, or are we talking about the players? Like, you're gonna have to be more specific with that one, Kate. Let me know. Colton says if Diggs can step up and Sarah Vogel are going to have a hell of a fan divorce. Yeah, well, listen, I know that a lot of people. I guess I was driving in. I saw the hog pen line forming pretty rapidly, and looked really good. I'll try to do some content out there. I may go out there and talk to a few people. I used to do that a couple years ago. I think 2 years ago, maybe. Was it 2021? I know I did it last year, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure it won't be disastrous at all. Shelton says, J.R. Shelton says, when are y'all getting into the new crib? Man, hopefully very, very soon. I know y'all have been antsy about it. I've been antsy about it. All of us have been antsy about it. But, we've had people gone. Like, I was gone this past weekend. Andrew was gone and everything. And we got it all squared away and everything. It's just a matter of moving forward on it. And it makes sense, too, that, beginning of June, like June 1st might be the time that we do it. So, I think that we'll be here in the next week or so. But we'll definitely make a big deal out of it. Don't you worry. Pretty excited about it. Colton says, keep it up, John. My favorite Arkansas reporter by far. Well, thank you, Colton. I appreciate it, but I'm not an Arkansas reporter. I wouldn't call it that, or at least not the way that I view reporting. Here's the thing is like, I just like to have fun, and you can call it a personality. You can call it an entertainer. You can call it a talent, which is so, I don't know. It always bothers me when people's like, it's like, he's the talent. So like arrogant. I don't even have an ego, please. But no, it's, I just like to have a good time and just talk. Just talk Razorbacks, talk sports, talk fun, talk all that. So I ain't trying to be a reporter or a big J journalist. That's, I can't be something I'm not. I'm just who I am. So, but I appreciate it, Colton. Thank you. Hogaholic says, how much are we willing to spend on Hawkins? Hey, listen, man, if Chicken Man's got anything to say about it, we'll spend. I mean, I don't know. Because here's the thing. We have an idea of what the budget was from Tyson, but does that include what other NIL programs are involved in? Like, are they willing to be even more than that? Maybe. I think that between Tyson and like, how much money do they have left in the bank? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much money of all these other players that they've gotten already, how much is left? Is there enough left? Are they willing to spend it that way? Maybe. But I don't know. Here's my thing. If Hawkins is worth the money, if he's a must-get guy that's going to be a difference in having this team win a championship, then pay whatever it's worth. Like, just make it happen. But is he that guy? I don't know. Let's see. Andrew says, what sport do you personally, neighbors, want to see a championship in? I assume you mean a Razorback sport. I mean, football is always going to be it, just because it's so tough. And Arkansas, as much as I am a Razorback fan, you feel the furthest removed from possibly competing for a national championship at Arkansas, just given the circumstances. Not to say it's impossible, not saying it will never happen, but it's so tough, man. It's so tough, especially nowadays. But honestly, and basketball, of course, would be great too. So I'd take a championship in anything. But, I'd have to say baseball, because Dave Van Horn deserves it. Like Dave Van Horn deserves to get a championship. I mean, he should have had one in 2018. And we all know how that happened. But if there is a man, a coach, a human being, a person that loves Arkansas, is Arkansas, all about Arkansas, and has, Norman Bryan was great, but Van Horn had elevated the program to another level. I want to see baseball win one, obviously for the fans, but for Dave. Dave deserves it. And so I would take that right now. David says, John is just an Arkansas fan. He lets the guys take care of the Big J journalism. That's right. That's a great way to put it, because I'm, Curtis and Scotty and everything, like they're really good at what they do, and they cover the sports better than anybody. They put in the research and all of that. So I am, I like them to do their thing, and they're great at it. And because I think we're all different. We all approach things differently. We all have different strengths and we all have different weaknesses. And I think that's what makes us a great team. But yeah, I'm just here to have a good time. I'm here to have a good time and talk with some Razorback fans and give my thoughts and opinions on things. I'm not a shock jock. I'm not trying to do things for clicks or anything. I mean, my livelihood, our livelihood, a lot is, of course, based in advertising and putting out great content. But I'm not trying to do it in the sake of, being not me. Like, I don't know how. I can't be someone I'm not. I know, but there's people that I respect that have made very much a great living in all of that, and handling that way. But again, that's not my thing. It's not my bag. Chicken Man says, check in my bag. We got money. All right, there we go. It's done for. Unbiased Brim, what's up, Unbiased? Says, would we rather have Coleman Hawkins or Trevin Brazil if we could choose? That's a great question. I've seen people talking about this, Unbiased. I mean, I don't know. I take either one of them. Again, I have no problem with Brazil, but I will say that Coleman Hawkins, I think, is more intriguing. I don't know who would be better, and I'm not saying he's at fault, but also Brazil's had injuries. It's been tough for him to see the court pretty consistently because of that, and so. I don't know. Again, I'd take either one of them, but Coleman Hawkins, I think, would be the most intriguing one to me just because he's new. He's been established. And I don't know. Just different. Different is always intriguing to me. Different is a lot intriguing. That's a great question, though. Let's see. Colton says, I think John gives us $5 to $6 million a year plus the edge. NIL, our assistant head coach has to be the chicken man money, though. I think you mean John Calipari, not me. Yeah, that's for sure. I agree with that. Blake says, y'all should come do the show in the hog pen line. Well, I thought about doing that. And who knows, maybe we could do something like that. It kind of depends on, we won't be able to do it. I don't know. We might be able to do it Friday. Maybe Saturday. I don't know. It just depends on the weather, too, because I know that the weather's up there. But there are some guidelines. There are some rules that, we can't broadcast certain places because of IMG College and have the rights to the media side of things for Arkansas. So, I'd love to do something like that. And, especially if the internet has some consistency and if we get set up that way. And who knows? Maybe we end up doing something. I don't know what, but stay tuned, though. Stay tuned. I think that'd be fun to get into. Let's see. And Bias also says Coleman is more reliable, but Brazil has a bigger upside. See, that's the thing is, because I agree with both what you said, but here's the thing on Bias. What's the best type of ability? Availability, right? So I would think, again, I'd take either one of them. I would not complain, but if it was just, if Calipari came to John Nabors and said, John Nabors, by God, I love you. They got a beautiful face. Pick between these two players. Which one do you want? If they did that, then I'd take Coleman. But again, if it's Brazil, I'm great with that too. That's fine with me. It's fine with me. Nick Cox. Hey, thanks for the donation, Nick. I think we avoid Brazil this year. I'm fine with that too. Again, I'm trusting Calipari. Whatever Calipari wants to do, Calipari can do. And he's going to have how do you put it? Support? Yeah. He's going to have my support. Just going to go for about another 5 minutes, folks. Just wanted to do an hour because I still got to do some other stuff too for tomorrow. Work. It's busy. I miss my dog, Rowdy. He's not with me. He's with my parents. I got to go get him in the morning. Miss that dog. But yeah. Let's see. Dalton says, give me Arthur Kaluma. Yeah. There's so many players out there that are really good. I'll take them all. Hogaholic says, according to my English teacher, we have been out of the race for Hawkins for weeks. Well, breaking news, the scoop. Maybe so. Maybe so. But if that happens, if they end up getting him, it's not. I just don't think that he's that player where it's like, if you miss out on him, oh, geez, now they're not going to be any good. But if you get him, it's like, oh my gosh, national championship. Cal will handle it. Just trust in Cal. Trust in Cal. Sam says, I can't wait to see the basketball team actually run plays and offensive sets. Yeah. I do too. Like I've Kentucky's always been really solid offensively under Cal, and I don't see that changing at all this year either. But yeah, I want to see when they get on the court how the formula goes, like how it works, how the in-game coaching, or they run in the plays. Like, how's that look? That'll be interesting. LEW says, really, I'll still take Brazil. I would too. I'd take them both. But again, Hawkins is just intriguing to me. He's intriguing. Walt Kovac says Brazil with Kenny Payne could be real good. Absolutely. As long as Brazil is healthy. That's the biggest thing. He's got to be healthy. But the other thing about Brazil, and this is not me insulting the kid at all, because again, he's a great player with great upside. But the thing that always kind of just unnerved me about Brazil is there's times he'd go for like 24 and 15. He was the SEC player of the week that week when Arkansas played Duke. Like, he'd go for 24 and 14. And then the next game, he goes for 4 and 3. It's like, come on. Have some sort of consistency there. That's all I'm asking. Just a little bit of consistency. But I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. Gordon saying St. John's is the possible opponent for Arkansas at Madison Square Garden. Sure. Yeah, I'd take it. A little Patino action. That'd be a great, like, getting those two guys in the same room together and just talking. Wonder what they talk about, how they would talk. I think both of them have gotten in trouble by the NCAA at some point. Both of them coached in the NBA. Neither of them did very well, but still coached. So, yeah, it'd be a good thing to be a fly on the wall for. All right, we got about a minute and a half left. So if you have any more questions, speak now or forever hold your peace, because old John boy here is getting tired. But no, I do appreciate all of you hanging out and watching and being a part of it. I know it's been kind of all over the place with me being gone and everything. So, hey, Nick, really appreciate you, man. Appreciate you donating and appreciate you watching Natty State Sports, man. And I mean, we always appreciate everybody, but for you supporting us that way by donating and giving us $5, man, we'll take it. But Nick Cox says, I don't dislike Brazil. I've never bought into any of the rumors, but he did play scared after the injury. I absolutely think there's something to be said on that. I think that we all would, and we all have, I'm sure at some point in time. It's always been something that's bothered us. If we had a nagging injury, like I dislocated my kneecap just like in 2017, and it's, kind of made me, like, it's not as bad now, but I remember it took me a while until I kind of felt comfortable doing some things on it. And that's me. That's a fat sack of crap like I am. I can imagine being a 6'9" freak of an athlete and you can jump 48 inches or whatever it is, and then just being okay with it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't guess that at all. But yeah, but appreciate it, Nick, so much. Thanks, man. Colton says, so excited for a big guy in Adu. Yeah, I am too. I think that you're going to have a great big man rotation. I think that's going to be fun for it too. Ontario, Arkansas says, Rick Pitino is John Calipari's arch nemesis, but they say they are pals, but they despise each other. Really would be an epic battle in NYC. Yeah, that'd be great. A lot of stuff that would be happening there too. So David says, we appreciate you. Go to sleep. Hey, thanks, David. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah. But yeah, that about does it. That about does it. No, but for real though, appreciate all of you watching and subscribing to Natty State Sports. We got so much cool stuff, and we're really hoping, just like you all are, that Razorback baseball is going to roll and go to Omaha, because we're going to be covering it every step of the way and giving you a lot of great content. So Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to listen to the Bombastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis. Does a phenomenal job covering all things baseball for the Razorbacks. And again, we're going to be out at Tin Roof tomorrow on Dixon Street from 6 to 8 p.m. We're going to have some former Razorback baseball players joining us. We're going to talk about football too, but it's going to be great. So come on out there. And then after the Razorback baseball game at 2 p.m., which starts first pitch in the region on Friday, come out to Tin Roof after the game. And Andrew Ellis, as well as the rest of us, are going to be having the Bombastic post-game show. They're live at Tin Roof and the patio outside. So it's going to be awesome. So basically what I'm saying is come to Tin Roof throughout the entire weekend. Odds are we're going to be there because I know you're going to be there for the regionals too. So either way, appreciate each and every one of you. We will have the full-fledged John Nabors experience tomorrow, and it won't be too late. It won't be after dark, maybe around dusk. We'll call it that. But either way, appreciate all of you. Enjoy the rest of your night. Get you a good night's sleep. And we'll see you at Tin Roof on Dixon Street tomorrow, starting at 6 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you then.